vibrations on the photograph. That's very important. How to know where you are as far as God is concerned. That's the big thing, isn't it? We are here for that. To be one with God, to be union with His power, to be His instruments. And how our connections get loose, and how we can correct it, we should try to understand that. First of all, we must realize that we are not to think about it. If you start thinking too much about it, then you have seen that you do something funny, which you should not have done. Do not plan out too much about it also. Because in this country, if people start planning out, they will get all the planning done. For example, they have to go for a walk. Then they must have proper shoes, they must have proper sticks, they must have this, they must have that, and they must have gloves, and they must have everything, and they never go out. They are so exhausted with the planning itself. In the same way, it happens with Sahaja Yoga. Get in. Move forward. It pretty much happens the same way with Sahaja Yoga. I have seen that, though I have told you not to plan it out, not to think about it, still you go on doing it, and that is how you get into problems. That by thinking you cannot correct yourself. What you can do is to know that you can put bandhans, or you can give yourself a balance with your hands. You have to move your hands and not your brain. Alright? Our brains are moving and hands and feet never move. And out of proportion our brains are moving. But our hands and feet do not move. This is the society which H.G. Wells had described. I can see it very clearly. That you have more brains than your deftness and your understanding. Your fingers are not so sensitive, and the brain leads you to artificiality. So you are not to use your thinking for correcting your chakras. Now should I write it down in golden words? That you cannot think about it and sort it out. This is one thing people do not understand. I think you better take him away because little restless, alright? Now we have got mantras for different chakras. Every chakra has got a mantra which you know. If you do not know, you should find out. Now, if one chakra is scratching, then you work on that chakra only and develop your mantra on that. For example, supposing you have to say something for your heart, then first of all you must ask for forgiveness from God. That means your attention has not been so much as it should have been on the spirit. Or if you have done any mistakes, ask for forgiveness. You ask for forgiveness. Now, you ask for forgiveness from your heart. Even doing with hand can be artificial. You understand that. It could be just ritualistic, but from your heart. Whatever you have to say, you say it from your heart. Ask for forgiveness from your heart. Not think about it. You see, this is the trouble is. If I say something, then you start thinking about it. And then you said, then now I have to take out my attention from the center. And then you start taking out your attention. You cannot. With your brain, you cannot take out your attention from anywhere to anywhere. It's only through your hands or movement of your hands or by saying mantras you bring in. Do you understand that point? Absolutely clear cut. Many people think that if they pay attention to something and pull their attention, you cannot. But what you can do is to, when you are saying the mantra, put your attention without thought to that particular chakra. So you master that chakra ultimately. The one which is a weakness can become your mastery. But if you think, then you are catching again the heart much more. You have known that by thinking you catch your right side in the sense that it starts overactive, it gets overactivated and left side gets frozen up. by which heart is catching. Your ego develops, which engulfs your heart. So the more you think about it, how to correct your ego, the worse you are. You fight it. So then we know that we have to give a balance, bring down your ego with your hand, with massaging. You can bring it down because in your hand it is flowing. Whether you are catching or not catching, it is flowing from your hand is there. The flow from your hand is there. You may not even receive from me, but there is flow already started. It's germinated. Little bit is always there. Use that to massage your head, bring down your ego. Then for heart also. Do not think about it, but give it. Or you put your hand towards it. Direct the vibrations, but don't think at that time. This is the important thing. If you are thinking and directing, it cannot be directed because your attention is engulfed in the thinking process. Do you understand that point? And we hear the problem is people think too much and talk too much. I mean, they talk about everything. They know everything. Such a wasteful habits of thinking and then talking about it. Everybody is a monarch here because of ego. So now please tell your ego, you please keep shut. Now we know you too well. Try to push it back as much as you can. With force sometimes. Bring it back like that. Try to bring it to its normal position. And you'll be amazed once it goes to its normal position. You'll feel very much lighter. So this is to be done with your hand. You can use oil to rub, or on your body if you have to rub, you can use even powder or anything for having less friction. But it is through massage, through giving bandhans, by taking it out, or through limbu, or you can use even an orange or something like that. Try to take out these vibrations through these mediums and not through thinking. Through thinking you cannot do it. Once you think, you have no power over yourself. There's a barrier between the spirit and you. Because you are thinking through your ego. You must have noticed many times when I tell you that this you should not have done. So you said, I know. You see, this is something I can't understand. When you know that this should not have been done, then why are you doing it? Now which is that I which knows? Is your spirit. Or which is that is doing it against it? Is your ego. So identification should be with spirit, and spirit does not think. It manifests. So you cannot sort it out through your thinking. It's all false and faulty life. Anything you do with thinking, it will be all faulty. Now why you people in this country have lost your deftness in the hands? For the same reason. If I ask a question, say on some art, people can tell me a lot about art. But if you tell them even to hold a brush in their hands, they cannot. In any art, any deftness or anything, they think. That's how the creativity, the spontaneity is finished, by thinking. And that's why you must have seen the people those days who producing art is also so horrible that within 20 years all these artistic pieces will die out. They will have no value. All these are produced in these. I see them every day in so-called modern art and all that. The real modern art can only be done by a person who has got his spirit manifesting. Like Blake. The one whose spirit is not manifesting, whether he is a poet or whether he is an artist or anything, whatever he is doing is going to finish in no time, has no value. Because it cannot give happiness to spirit. It can only give happiness outside. So do everything in silence, not thinking, in thoughtless awareness. That's the main point. How much you pamper your ego, you just see morning till evening. It's very simple to see in life. We try to be angry and in temper, or sometimes try to be very, very gentle, and sometimes very, very humble to look at. just to please that ego of ours, not to ourselves, the spirit. Now just fighting your spirit, you are not, fighting your ego, you are not going to achieve much, as I have told. Just do not accept its existence. It doesn't exist for you any longer. Does not exist. Ego is only existent in God because He does something. You do not do. That's why it's a myth. Your ego is a myth. You have no ego. It's a myth. And you are carrying on with the myth. Now, ego in a man is nonsense. Ego in God is all sense. Now, when you are facing the photograph, just to check up yourself, humble down yourself. First of all, humble down. Like a person who wants to perfect oneself. Before the photograph, you humble down yourself and try to find out what's wrong with you. Best thing is to give yourself abandon. Don't think again. Humble down means try to bring down your attention to your heart. Humble down. Bring it down to your heart. Don't think. Now you put attention to the photograph without thinking and see for yourself what chakras are catching. One should not immediately jump into conclusion, yes, I am catching for this, I am catching for that, I am catching for another person, and all this nonsense is not needed. You need not take it to a rationality to judge it, why you are catching. That's not important for us. It is catching. Alright, so do not go on a trip of thinking. I can ask, you need not. If you are checking other people, then it's alright because you can tell them what is to be done. But then you find something now left is catching. So now you know that this is because of your guilt. Whichever is built in your subconscious, you are catching on the left. It could be due to anything because you didn't have proper sense of morality. That's the basics. Left Vishuddhi is immoral. If you have been immoral, you get this. Basics. Then sisters relationship. Then guilt that is built in the subconscious. If you become immoral, in the subconscious the guilt is built. Any such guilt can come as any other guilt. Like you see, the real guilt is due to something else, but people express it as something else. Alright. So, do not worry as to what guilt you have got. I never tell you what guilt you have got, if you remember it correctly. Never I tell you that you should say that you have got this guilt. Many people tell me that I have got a guilt that there is war in Vietnam or some sort of a nonsense, or my forefathers went to Argentina and killed many Indians. All this is nonsense. You see. The guilt is a subconscious action, is what you call the conditioning in the left. When there is some sort of a immoral behavior that is done, even you may not be knowing what is morality. See, if you do not know dharmas, might be something you are doing which you should not have done. So forget about it, detach yourself. The one who has committed mistake is your ego, not you. You are pure because you are spirit. So don't condemn yourself for that. You are not to bother. For example, if there is defect in the instrument, there is no defect in the electricity. Electricity is pure. It is not carried out because there is defect in the instrument. So we have to correct the instrument. Now if you think you are the electricity, you can correct it, but if you think you are the instrument, you can never correct it. Because again you go to your subconscious, try to find out, oh, what things I must have done. It could be from your previous lives also. It could be you might have caught it by saying something very filthy which you do not remember. So do not tax your mind. We are not psychoanalysts at all. To find out psychologically what is wrong with us by asking questions and this time troubling yourself too much with ego. Psychologists only think of the left, but they don't know when you try to do that, you develop your ego. When you start thinking about it from where this has come, immediately you develop the ego of a person. And the person goes on to the ego trip, and which is even more dangerous than subconscious problem. Because people who have ego trouble the whole community, while those who are superego only trouble themselves. People with ego are much more dangerous and troublesome than the people with superego. So you just First of all, see what is the matter with you. Now left Vishuddhi is catching. Alright. So that means the Kundalini is not properly going through the left Vishuddhi. Alright. Then you be attached to a spirit. Try to attach yourself to a spirit. Then you clear it out. I see like that. Supposing I am the spirit and you are the body. I see my spirit and I see your spirit. I am not bothered what you have got. In the same way you see yourself in two ways. That you are the spirit and you are not the body or the mind or anything. So we have to clear it. They are paroksha, they are different. They are another. We have to correct it. As electricity is separated from this instrument, in the same way you are separated from your spirit. But this separateness must be understood in meditation. That's why meditation is necessary. For meditating, you should say that, Mother, make me the spirit. I am the spirit. Mother, I am the spirit. You start seeing through the eyes of the spirit everything. Then you do not feel bad. You laugh at yourself, make fun of yourself, and then you enjoy yourself.